Ang bidyong ito ay naisipang i-upload upang maibahagi sa iba dahil ang lahat ng mga kaalamang nandito ay dapat nating lahat na matutunan at malaman, lalong-lalo na sa mga administrator ng paaralan at ng mga guro. Malaki ang aking pasasalamat sa mga taong nagbahagi ng kanilang nalalaman upang magkaroon din tayo ng wastong kaalaman tulad nito. Ang lahat ng inyong matutunan sa bidyong ito ay pwede nyo ring ibahagi ang mga impormasyon sa iba. Maraming salamat po. Our topic for today is about respect for integrity. It's all about child protection, bullying, and cyber safety. This topic was being presented by Attorney Joseph Madriaga, Division Legal Officer, SDO, Cotabato. The first topic is about DO 40 Series 2012. It's about the DepED Child Protection Policy. The second topic is about DO 55 Series 2013. It's all about implementing rules and regulations of the Anti-Bullying Act of 2013. Then the last topic is about DepED Memo number 94 Series 2016. It's all about the promotion of online child protection and prevention of cyberbullying. Let's start with the DepED Child Protection Policy. DepED shall promulgate a zero-tolerance policy for any act of abuse, exploitation, violence, discrimination, bullying, and other forms of child abuse. The Child Protection Policy Coverage. School-based and out-of-school youth environment. For out-of-school youth incidents, upon identification, immediately refer to DSWD, barangay, and police. Procedure in handling school-based incidents. Conduct of expeditious investigation or the fact-finding. Immediately issuance of a report, recommendation on the incident to the disciplining authority for administrative action. Revise rules of procedure of the DepED in admin cases shall operate. In case where the findings would result to criminal or civil liability, it will be endorsed to the proper authorities for appropriate action. Example is the prosecutor. The prohibited acts: child abuse, discrimination against children, child exploitation, violence against children committed in school, bullying or peer abuse, corporal punishment, bullying or peer abuse. This refers to willful aggressive behavior that is directed towards a particular victim who may be outnumbered, younger, weak, with disability, less confident, or otherwise vulnerable. Bullying is committed when a student commits an act or a series of acts directed towards another student, or a series of single acts directed towards several students in a school setting or a place of learning, which results in physical and mental abuse, harassment, intimidation, or humiliation. Such acts may consist of one or more of the following: threats to inflict a victim on his or her daily activities, stalking or constantly following the activities with unwanted and obsessive intentions. Deliberate destruction or defacement of or damage to the child's property. Physical violence committed upon a student which may or may not result to harm or injury, with or without the aid of a weapon. Such violence may be in the form of mauling, hitting, punching, licking, throwing things at the student, pinching, spanking, or other similar acts. Demanding or requiring sexual or monetary favors, or exacting money or property from a pupil or student, and restraining the liberty and freedom of a pupil or student. Next topic is the implementing rules and regulations of the Anti-Bullying Act of 2013. Rule 1 of Preliminary Provisions. Section 1, Short Title. These rules shall be known as Implementing Rules and Regulations of the Anti-Bullying Act of 2013. Section 2, Scope and Coverage. These rules shall cover all public and private kindergarten, elementary, and secondary schools and learning centers. Section 2, Definition of Terms. As used in this implementing rules and regulation, which is the IRR, the following terms shall be defined as A. Act refers to Republic Act number 10627, otherwise known as the Anti-Bullying Act of 2013. Bullying refers to any severe or repeated use by one or more students of a written, verbal, or electronic expression, or a physical act or gesture, or any combination thereof, directed at another student that has the effect of actually causing or placing the latter in reasonable fear of physical or emotional harm or damage to his property, creating a hostile environment at school for the other student, infringing on the rights of another student at school, or materially and substantially disrupting the education process or the orderly operation of a school, such as, but not limited to the following: any unwanted physical contact between the bully and the victim, like pinching, pushing, shoving, kicking, slapping, tickling, headlocks, inflicting school pranks, teasing, fighting, and the use of available objects as weapons. Any act that causes damage to a victim's psyche and or emotional well-being. Number 3, any slanderous statement or accusation that causes the victim undue emotional distress, like directing foul language or profanity at the target, name-calling, tormenting, and commenting negatively on victims' looks, clothes, and body. Number 4, cyberbullying, or any bullying done through the use of technology or any electronic means. The term shall also include any conduct resulting to harassment, intimidation, or humiliation. Through the use of other forms of technology, such as, but not limited to, texting, email, instant messaging, chatting, internet, social media, online games, or other platforms or formats as defined in DepEd Order No. 40, Series 2012. Any other form of bullying as may be provided in the school's child protection or anti-bullying policy consistent with the Act and this IRR. B.1. The term bullying shall also include, number 1, social bullying, which refers to any deliberate, repetitive, and aggressive social behavior intended to hurt others or to belittle another individual or group. Number 2, gender-based bullying refers to any acts that humiliates or excludes a person on the basis of perceived or actual sexual orientation and gender identity. Next is the Rule 4, the Prohibited Acts. Section 5, Prohibited Acts. Consistent with Section 3 of the Act, the anti-bullying policy shall prohibit: number 1, bullying at the following: A. School grounds. B. Property immediately adjacent to the school grounds. Letter C. School-sponsored or school-related activities, functions, or programs, whether on or off school grounds. Letter D. School bus stop. Letter E. School buses or other vehicles owned, leased, or used by a school. Letter F. School buses or school privately owned but accredited by the school. Number 2, policy that prohibit bullying through the use of an electronic technology, device, or other social media owned. Number 3, policy that prohibit bullying at a location, activity, function, or program that is not school-related and through the use of technology or an electronic device of the other forms of media that is not owned, leased, or used by a school. And the number 4 policy, retaliation against a person who reports bullying, who provides information during an investigation of bullying, or who is a witness to or has reliable information about bullying. Section 9, Child Protection Committee as Anti-Bullying Committee. For the implementation of this IRR, the Child Protection Committee, CPC, established by DepEd Order No. 40 Series 2012, shall able be the committee that will handle bullying cases in the public or private school. Section 10, Procedures in handling bullying incidents in school. A. The jurisdiction. Complaints of bullying and other acts under this IRR shall be within the exclusive jurisdiction of the department or the private school and shall not be brought for amicable settlement before the barangay, subject to existing laws, rules and regulations, Complaints for acts covered by other laws shall be referred to the appropriate authorities. Reports of incidents of bullying or retaliation initiated by persons who prefer anonymity shall be entertained, and the person who reported the incident shall be afforded protection from possible retaliation, provided, however, that no disciplinary administrative action shall be taken against an alleged bully or offending student solely on the basis of an anonymous report and without any other evidence. School personnel conduct of separate interview, determine the levels of threat, and develop intervention strategies. Inform the victim and parents, guardian, of the steps to be taken. Make appropriate recommendation to the Child Protection Committee. The Child Protection Committee shall determine appropriate intervention program. May refer the victims and the bully to trained professionals outside the school. Disciplinary measures, considering the nature, gravity, or severity incidents, through written reprimand, community service, suspension, exclusion, and expulsion. In addition, the bully shall also be required to undergo an intervention program. False accusation of bullying. If the student, after an investigation, is found to have knowingly made a false accusation of bullying, the said student shall be subjected to disciplinary actions or to appropriate interventions in accordance with the existing rules and regulations of the department or the private school. Section 11. Confidentiality. Any information relating to the identity and personal circumstances of the bully, victim, or bystander shall be treated with utmost confidentiality by the Child Protection Committee and the school personnel, provided that the names may only be available to the school head or administrator, teacher, or guidance counselor designated by the school head, and parents or guardians of students who are or had been victims of bullying or retaliation. Any school personnel who commits a breach of confidentiality shall be subject to appropriate administrative disciplinary action in accordance with the existing rules and regulations of the Department of Education or the private school without prejudice to any civil or criminal action. Oops! Bago ka ba sa aking channel? Mag-subscribe ka na! The topic number 3 is about DepEd Memo number 94, Series 2016. This is all about the promotion of online child protection and prevention of cyberbullying. In recognition of the growing need to protect children from bullying, particularly cyberbullying and the potential risk of using the internet, DepEd entered a partnership with Stairway Foundation Incorporated, the SFI, through the Cybersafety project. The project focuses on online child protection and seeks to prevent online child abuse through the creation and dissemination of instructional materials on online safety. In line with the mandates of DepEd Child Protection Policy with the DepEd Order No. 40, Series 2012, and the implementing rules and regulation of the Anti-Bullying Act of 2013, DepEd Order No. 55, Series 2013, to build the capacities of school personnel, pupils, and students to prevent the incidence of child abuse and bullying. The project produced the Cybersafe online lesson plans for grades 5 and 6, Manual 1, and Junior High School Manual 2 learners. The lesson plans consist of different modules which will aid teachers in developing the students' capacities to stay safe online by teaching positive online behavior, discussing topics related to cyberbullying, and how to recognize and respond to cyberbullying. The modules are uploaded on the DepEd Learning Resources Management and Development System, which is the LRMDS portal, and the Cybersafe Project portal, www.cybersafe.asia. This is the link for viewing and downloading purposes. The use of the Cybersafe online lessons is highly encouraged to promote online child protection and prevent online child abuse, particularly cyberbullying. Copies of the manuals will be released to the school's division offices for distribution to the school under their respective jurisdictions. The Cyberspace Project, Bullying and No to Porno. The Child Rights in Education Desk in the Department of Education was created under DepEd Order No. 3, Series 2021, issued in January 2021. Highlights the three dimensions of rights-based education, or RBE. The right to access education, the right to quality education, the right to be respected in the learning environment. The intermediate outcome number 1. Children's rights are integrated in the design of all DepEd policies, plans, programs, projects, processes, and systems. Letter A. DepEd adopts and implements a policy framework on the rights-based education and guidelines for integrating child rights in the design of all DepEd policies, plans, programs, projects, processes, and systems. The strategies: policy development, compliance, monitoring, and technical support. The institutionalization of CRE-D. Letter B. DepEd offices, personnel are knowledgeable on child rights and right-based education and can integrate this in the design of policies, plans, programs, projects, processes, and systems. The strategies: capacity building of DepEd offices and personnel, and advocacy. Intermediate outcome number 2. Learners are aware and can assert their rights to and in education from DepEd and fully understand their responsibilities in relation to these rights. Letter A. Child Rights Education, or the CRE, implemented in schools, learning centers, and other learning modalities. The strategies: integration of child rights in the K-12 curriculum, and extra or co-curricular activities, and capacity building of school personnel. Thank you for listening and hope that you have learned something new. Don't forget to subscribe.